Hi, I'm Mr. Huber, and in this video we're going to look at problem 1h. Well, 1h is a function that looks like this, x minus 3 squared. Well, this is in fact already in vertex form because you can add a 0 back there because it will only be a horizontal translation by 3 units to the right. And, well, you know it's a happy parabola, and you know that it is a vertical shrink. So more or less it's going to look like this: 1, 2, 3, and this will be it. Okay, so what else do we know? We need to work out the y-intercept because it will eventually intersect the y-axis, but where? Well, either you plug in 0, well, f of 0, that's 1/2 0 minus 3 squared, which is 9. 1/2 times 9 is 9/2 or 4.5. Well, this is one way of doing it. Another way, and this is what we have to do here, we have to work out the general form: 1/2 x squared minus 6x plus 9. Don't forget the brackets here. Then f of x is 1/2 x squared minus 3x plus 9/2. So this is the general form. So when you write it up like this, ax squared minus bx plus c plus bx, well, then a is obviously 1/2, b is minus 3, and c is 9/2. And you can clearly see that your y-intercept will be 0, 9/2. So now you can make an even better sketch like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will go through here. So now you know, or you can take into consideration your vertical shrink. And if you wanted, you could draw a vertical line here and just reflect this over here so that you more or less get a new point. So try to draw a smooth and rounded parabola. Well, you also know that this function does only have 1 0 at 3. You see that right away once you know what the graph looks like. If you wanted to work it out, you could say, well, f of x is equal to 0. Then you set it equal to 0 like this. Is equal to 0. Then you multiply everything by 2. So x minus 3 squared is equal to 0. 2 times 0 is obviously 0. And then you can either do this: x minus 3 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. And whenever you have a times b is equal to 0, then a is 0 or b is 0 or both. So in this case, either x minus 3 is 0, which leads to x is equal to 3, or x minus 3 is equal to 0, which leads to x is 3. So you see, you have 2 zeros in fact, but they're in both cases the same. So it's 1 0 of multiplicity 2. X is equal to 3, 0 of multiplicity 2. Well, in German, doppelte Nullstelle. Or you could say, well, x minus 3 squared is equal to 0. You take the square root. So x minus 3 is plus minus the square root of 0. Well, this is 0, and plus minus 0 is also 0. X minus 3 is equal to 0. X is equal to 3. You would have been able to work it out like this too. But in this case, you can clearly see that it is a 0 of multiplicity 2. So if you plug in 3 here, this will be 0 and this will be 0. Well, once we do exercise 3, I believe, yes, we will look at things like these in much greater detail. Okay, but I hope for this exercise everything should be clear and it was not too difficult. So I'll see you in the next one.